Recently, I turned 30 years old, and making it to another decade is what prompted me to start self-reflecting. Growing up, I've always had these humongous parties. I used to invite the entire county, everybody from every school. I was always the life of the party. But this year was a little different, and I wanted to celebrate those around me. So I wanted something small and I wanted something intimate. So I just had a few friends. We came, I opened up a new studio right down the street from me where I'm filming now. And yeah, there were these small wins that I wanted to celebrate. And I didn't want this huge party. You know, every time we hit these certain milestones, I think people expect us to have humongous, grandiose celebrations. But if I had done that this year, it wouldn't have been authentic to me. But turning 30 just made me realize, is this where I want to be? And is this where I imagined myself being when I was 20 years old? And when you're younger, you think 30 is so old. Like, it seems so far away. And now that I'm 30, I don't really feel different. Yes, I've been through a lot in my life. Yes, I've overcome so many struggles and obstacles. And a lot of those things I didn't realize, or I couldn't have even imagined that I would actually overcome those things. When I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, all my friends left me. It was one of the most lows that I've had in my lifetime because I put a lot of my attention and focus on friendships. Every weekend in school, I was hitting the streets. When 3:15 came on Friday, you didn't see me until Monday morning. I was always on the go, always looking for the next party, for the next hoorah, and that's where my focus was. So when I turned 18 and everybody went off to college and stuff, I had to really do some self-evaluation. And I was so young at the time, so naive to a lot of struggles that people could go through, because even though I was bullied most of my life, that was pretty much the only struggle that I knew of. Then when anxiety came in and depersonalization, and my addiction was hitting an all-time high, I had to really sit back and reflect. Is this the type of life that I want? And coincidentally, that's when I found Christ. I got baptized right before my 18th birthday, and it's been a hell of a ride with Jesus ever since. And I think fast forwarding it up to this point in my life, the same thing happened where I hit this low and it was like I couldn't really go no further. I kept coming up against this wall. And that's why I mentioned in my last video about self-sabotage, because anytime we gain that freedom, we squander it because we're not familiar with it, because we don't feel worthy of living that type of lifestyle. There's only been a handful of times in my life where I felt this immense amount of bliss and happiness. And so turning 30, reaching a new decade, a new milestone, let me know that that's the type of place that I want to live in every single day. I saw a quote not too long ago. I don't know who the author is, but they said, your life now is the sum of all the choices that you've made up until this point, which basically puts the responsibility back on us. We can't blame anybody for the situation that we're in now. And you may not be in a situation. You may be on cloud nine, but you've also made choices for yourself to get to cloud nine. So you have to continue to make those choices so you can stay there. But if you found yourself in some mess and in the gutter, you really have to self-analyze and self-actualize. Take full responsibility and look back and say, what did I do to get here? Mine, obviously, has been my addiction. You know, pornography never gave me anything beneficial. For 16 years, it had used me up, and it made all these promises that I could live in that place of highness for an extended period of time. But it never lasted. And then regret instantly sunk in. So when I have to go through the stages of withdrawal or the side effects or the anxiety, I have nobody else to blame. Even in the Christian world, we try to give the enemy a lot more attention than or place blame on him more than we do ourselves. I don't think the enemy is half focused on us as we think he is. And even if he is, you got to place that attention on God and figure out what he's doing in your life and where he's trying to take you. I was just talking to my mom yesterday and I was like, yeah, God is calling us to be higher. He's calling us to a new level. And I feel like that's why so much is happening. That's why we're running up against all these roadblocks. And my mom was like, he's been calling us to a new level. We're the ones that have stopped us from actually reaching that point in our lives, for whatever reason it may be. And even though we've made some poor decisions, I'm sure I'm not the only one, we've also made some really great decisions. I started this YouTube channel. This was something that was not on my radar at all. And I was actually fearful, low-key, of doing it and really putting myself out there. But I was like, what's the worst that could happen? I wrote a book at 21, put my entire life out there up until that point in my life, and this is no different. I've pretty much been just an open book as long as I can remember, but I wanted to go deeper. And from 21 up until 30, that's 9 years that I've learned even more, that I've gone through even more struggles and more obstacles. And sometimes it's important to look back to see how far you've come, to see how much you've learned, to see how much willpower and grit and how many obstacles you overcame to get to this point. Because I'm sure a lot of y'all, like me, didn't think that you would make it to this point. There are some people that have gone through worse things than I have. I'm talking about rape, robbery, your house burned down, your husband or your wife left you and you hit rock bottom, you became homeless. There are so many things that could have gone wrong in your life, but you made it here. But if you're not happy where you are, there's something to that. There's something to be observed in that state. There's a lot of grinding and hustling out here. There's a lot of chasing that bag out here. So there is no room for reflection. And you have to sit with yourself. A lot of us don't want to really sit with our thoughts. And I get it. Our thoughts can be scary. Our thoughts can be too real for us to handle. Things that you are afraid to confess to the next person because that's how fearful you are of them, even though they're just thoughts. But when you sit with that and you realize what's playing on a loop in your mind and there's a cycle that's going on, you have the ability in that moment to destroy that loop and that cycle that has you in this bind, this negative feedback. And even though our life now is the sum of all the choices that we've made, because we're still here, we have an opportunity to make another choice that's going to lead to a better choice. Because when you reflect and you realize what got you in this predicament, you're able to easily look back and be like, I'm not going to do that again. You're not going to hear me say that. You're not going to hear me go there. You're not going to see me talking to this person, associating with this type of crowd, doing this type of habit, because you don't want to be there no more. You don't want to be in the gutter for the rest of your life, and you don't have to be. I'm preaching to myself. That's why I'm making this video, so I can look back and see it as a video journal of where I was before and where I want to be. Sometimes we all make these vision boards at the top of the year, and then we go throughout the entire year and make another vision board. And that same thing that's on that vision board was on the one from last year. Did you accomplish what you actually put on that board that year? Did you make that YouTube video? Did you go after that career? Did you finally put a down payment on that house that you've always wanted? Did you pay off your student loans that year? If you look back and you realize that you are in the same place that you were a year ago, something has to change. You have to maneuver and adjust things in your life that's going to get you a better outcome. What's that thing where they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting a different result? How many of us are doing the same habit and the same type of relationship, going through the same motions of life, but we want something different for our lives? What do you have to do today to change the trajectory of your life. So I encourage you to self-reflect. I encourage you to look at your inner circle. The older we get, the more aware we are of those that are around us. The older we get, the more aware we become of who we dispel our energy to. The older we get, the more we realize that we don't want to partake in childish conversations that are fruitless, that are full of gossip, full of drama. We need to devote our energy to being grateful for the things that we have now. We're always trying to chase the next thing. But when you use that energy to think of the things that you're grateful for right now, you're going to attract more things to be grateful for. I'm grateful for my own studio. I'm grateful that I get to come up here whatever time I want to, set this camera up and talk my ish. Whenever I want to. I was doing it in my mama's basement, setting up backdrops and stuff. I have my own space now, which I'm actually going to do a tour. So that way other photographers and videographers can rent it out for their own personal endeavors. But that's something that I'm grateful for. Our situations, I understand, can always be better. But I don't want us to think that somehow somebody else got us into this situation. Even if somebody did you dirty, and it sucks because they probably left without an apology, without any closure, it's up to you to get that closure yourself so that way you don't harbor that anger and that unforgiveness. Trust me, I'm preaching to myself because me and my family just went through something that had me, I've never experienced anger like that. And I'm still actually kind of getting over it, and it's too soon to even discuss. But you have to get rid of that because you don't want to carry that into another year. You don't want to carry that into another decade, really another day or another week, because your heart doesn't deserve to feel that type of wrath or unforgiveness. And I'm sure that there are things that we've done that we wish we could take back. Let's own up to that. Let's look back and be like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I should have been more patient with that person. Maybe I should have been more patient with myself. I should have shown myself more grace. The only time it's good to look in the rear view is so that way you can learn from the mistakes and from the failures and from the setbacks. That's the only benefit of looking back, is to be like, what can I learn in that moment that's going to help me develop into a better future? Nobody can make you do anything. Even if somebody puts a gun up to your head, I know that that's hella dramatic. You still have a choice in that moment. And whatever choice you make, he probably going to blow your head off if you make the wrong one, but it's still a choice. And we have a choice now in this life, on this earth, to change. And what do you want your life to look like? And honestly, if you use your words to start speaking things into existence, that's the power of manifestation. We can speak things every day. When you wake up in the morning, what are you saying to yourself? What type of thoughts are you having? Are you looking in the mirror while you brushing your yellow teeth and getting your gums ready for the day and telling yourself that you're beautiful, that you're worthy of love, that good things are about to happen to you, that you're going to be in a great mood today, that everybody that you come across is going to be in a great mood, that God is going to send somebody that's going to bless you and that's going to allow you to be a blessing to them? What type of thoughts are you having? And what type of thoughts are you having and saying to yourself before you go to bed at night? Because at the end of the day, even if we're married and in a relationship, we still got to go to bed with us. We still have to sleep with ourselves. And are we happy to sleep with ourselves? Are we proud of ourselves? And if we're not, let's start doing things that will award us the privilege of being proud of ourselves. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today, and people are out here struggling and they're just trying to make it. And we think that somehow chasing that bag and getting to the money is going to solve all of our problems. When I tell you that that's not the case, I've had the Range Rover. I was making thousands of dollars a month and spending it, maybe not frivolously, but there were some days where I was just like, this is not bringing me satisfaction. What I want most of all at that point in my life and at this point is the freedom. I want to be free within myself. I want to not be so concerned with the anxiety or the numbness and the depersonalization or anything. And money can't buy that. So we really have to get honest with ourselves about what we want. But it starts with self-reflection. It starts with looking yourself in the mirror and asking yourself what is necessary and what sacrifices are you willing to make so that way you do not end up in that same hot mess that you found yourself back in. And I'm telling you, it may not be easy. Just a few weeks ago, I had to look in the mirror and talk to myself. And that's not easy. And sometimes looking in the mirror, you know, just to be vulnerable naked sometimes, like literally no clothes on, is not easy. But you have to do it for yourself, because if you don't love yourself, I mean, who's going to love you as much as you do? Even God can't make you do anything. Jesus can't make you say nothing. It's all up to us. We have 100% responsibility for the life that we want to live right now. So what type of choices will you make? And will you take the time for yourself to really sit with yourself, to sit with your thoughts and to reflect, to use your imagination from this point on to dream the wildest of dreams and to imagine your true authentic self living in the best light possible? Will you do that for yourself? Will you take the time, 5 minutes out of your day when you wake up, before you go to bed, put on some music and really let your imagination take you to the highest of heights? Will you do that for yourself? Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can do this for me. So take my advice, use this time to look back, see how far you've come, pat yourself on the back for making it here, thank God, and then see how your life can be better. My Cash App is still open if y'all want to send me a nice birthday gift at $JBiv. That's it for now. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, like this video, share that thing so that way other people can see it too and be inspired. I feel like I be having stuff to say. I got to get this stuff off my chest, and I feel like it can benefit some of y'all. So until next time, thank you.